Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. That's right. That's right. We're here. Got to work through some technical difficulties, but we're here.
Relax.
We got it. We made it. Everybody don't do what I think they're going to do and just flip out, man. That was good, y'all. It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Morning Breeze. Ryan Poles went on Hoge and Jahns yesterday and thought there were some very interesting comments that he made about what the Bears may look to do. Kind of speaking of what Jordan JC was talking about yesterday. Hey, when you're right, you're right. When you're right, you're right.
All right.
Also on this morning's show, man, we do have to get into what NFL execs are saying about what the Chicago Bears have done this offseason. The Bears made a very interesting selection of moves this offseason, and the execs are in on them. Hey, the date's 4/3/2025. It's 7:07 in the morning. Let me tell you something, Jordan JC. Never trust Xfinity, brother. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think we both have it.
Got to get that together, man.
I don't know.
Got to get it together.
Come on, Comcast. What are you doing?
Got to get it together. Come on, baby. You can't get deals done with CHSN. That's probably their fault. Can't get a deal done with Marquee. That's definitely their fault.
No. Xfinity got some explaining to do.
There's a lot of stuff going on out here, man. But hey, man, we appreciate y'all for vibing with your boys on another early morning. How you feeling this morning, Jordan JC?
Oh man, I'm feeling good, man. I don't know why I told you off air. I got this stinking song in my head now. You haven't even heard of it. You know, the new Nokia song by Drake.
I think
Baby Girl.
Is that what the one where like everybody's like, oh, Drake is trolling Kendrick here? And
I don't know. That's a stretch for me. I don't see it. Maybe I can see some of like the dance moves and the angles of the shot with people like dancing around them. Maybe like kind of how the Super Bowl looked at the end. The Super Bowl halftime performance looked at the end. I don't know if that. I just enjoyed the song. I'm not doing the whole back and forth crap. Kendrick already won that. Like, I'm just enjoying the song for what it was, and I just constantly got "Baby Girl" in my head. It's just, trust me, when you watch it, you'll continue to say that too.
I was cracking up because we were talking about this in a meeting for Good Karma Brands at ESPN on the content side, and it was like, you know, we were talking about, for one, the whole situations, the situation that went down in Chicago where one of the radio hosts, Dan Bernstein, ended up losing his job for going at people.
Oh boy, yeah.
And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, you know, when is it okay? Because it's not like beef is not profitable. So when is it okay?
That is true.
To engage in beef? And I was like, you know how much money both sides made off of this thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, the attention,
how much money both sides made off of this mug, dog.
The notoriety, yeah. Not that they needed help, but
that's
just
when it's okay.
Yeah.
When you look around, you're like, I guess I'm up $7 billion. I'm doing all right. Hey man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
Come on, push the button. Come on, push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Make sure that you guys are hitting the like button on the way in because it does help the channel continue to grow.
Absolutely.
We're almost at 50K too, so we definitely need
y'all.
Are
struggling
that last little bit, dog. We have random like spurts where it's like, here we go. Oh, we're on the road. There it is, right there. Nah, man. I think YouTube's messing with the algorithm again. That's how it
He's
always
playing
goes.
around with us, huh? Dangling that 50K carrot over our head.
Just dangling it right in front of your face. I thought you were gonna get 50K, did you?
Ah, shoot!
You'll get it eventually. All right, let's talk some football, Jordan JC, because Ryan Poles made some interesting comments that I thought really kind of are speaking to what you were saying yesterday, where listen, when you hear him and everybody interpret it for yourself, but he said this yesterday in an interview with Hoge and Jahns, which Adam Hoge has just been dominating lately. So
dominating.
He's all over the place, getting all the big interviews. Shout out to him. I'm not jealous at all.
No,
but big shout out to Hoge, honestly, because he's given us so much to talk about here. But Ryan Poles said this in a comment yesterday with The Athletic, where he basically comes out, you're looking at it multiple ways. He's talking about draft capital here. He's talking about, what do you do with the draft capital at the top of the draft? How do you want to take a big swing here? Or do you want to kind of stand pat and see what's going on, save your draft capital, all that? He says you're looking at it multiple ways. One, it's short-term, long-term. Two, it's, there's certain positions like the premium ones where it's not guaranteed you're going to be in a spot to get one of those players. So if we end up with a surplus, then let's just figure it out after that and compete, and the best guys win. If someone, a young guy, has to wait, then he has to wait, or other things could happen where the guys that are currently in those spots get opportunities for other teams. So there is a lot of different options that could pop up. Now, this was interesting to me, Jordan JC, because I feel like no matter what side you're on at the top of this draft, right? If you're on the go get Genty side, I feel like it does speak to that. Go get the best guy in the Genty conversation. If you're on the go get Abdul Carter side, I feel like it does speak to that. Listen, there's not many Abdul Carters in this draft. Go up and get a guy like Abdul Carter if he is available to you. I feel I'll even throw in the conversation around why am I blanking? Armand Membu. Armand Membu. Yeah. When he says, listen, if we got a guy who's at that position and you got to wait, you got to wait. But we're going for the talent available. Now, Armand Membu is more of a project where you would have to swap him around, move him over to the left tackle side, kind of try and figure some things out there. And maybe he's not ready to play left tackle early on. So that I feel like this speaks to so many of the big swings that the Bears could take that we've talked about at the top of the draft, that it almost feels like Ryan Poles is speaking on, listen, don't rule out. And I get it. It's lying season. It's, smoke screen season. It's throw that smoke bomb in there and let people think you're going to do a bunch of different things. Yeah, but I do think Ryan Poles' comments speak to what we heard Chris Emma saying, where he's like, listen, the Bears aren't afraid to move up to the top of the draft. And if it is a cheaper deal, like we saw from the Chris Emma comments, maybe we could see them actually do that.
I mean, yeah, hey, I agree with you, Pat. I mean, it's almost like I said this, a couple days ago, as if I have inside sources.
It was yesterday. Calm down.
I don't have any inside sources. I'm just saying.
George's sources say he's got a couple of steaks in the oven. You got to watch out for him. He will bite your hand.
There you go. All right. No, you know what? The biggest part of what he said, that statement that you read, that really stood out to me is the ending up with the surplus and then just figuring it out after that and competing and let the best guy win. I love that thought process, because again, we're in a situation now where we've addressed a lot of the holes on the team, and even though we could address a few more, or at least address the depth in the trenches, we're in a really good spot where Ryan Poles is saying, hey, we can go left, we can go right, we can go up, we can go down. You don't know which way we're going, but depending on how the draft board falls, we can go different directions. We can get the best player available. We can trade up. We can actually sit at 10. We can go back and get some more draft capital and address, a number of multiple positions. But the fact that we have a lot of different position groups addressed already that are strengths, why not make those strengths even stronger? I like that. Maximize your strengths. strengths to the max, baby.
Yeah.
So if you outside of wide receiver, we just talked about wide receiver. I don't need any more wide receivers. All right, we don't need any wide receivers, Ryan Poles. But when it comes to running back,
McMillan love, huh?
not at all, not with that speed. But with the I'm good on Ted McMillan anyway. But with the running backs, with the tight ends, like you said, with the tackles and the obviously Abdul Carter at the top of the draft boards, like those are players that you can go out and take a chance on because you've addressed so many different areas. And I'm fine with Ryan Poe saying, "Hey, we have an open mind here." And I love even the example of this article that brings it out of other teams that have done it in the past. It mentions the 2014 St. Louis Rams when it was draft time, which was the year that I dread the most because I swear, I believe we had the 14th pick. I'll always remember that year because we had the pick after they got Aaron Donald. Yes. Yeah. I will never forget that. I think I was downstairs in my parents' basement listening to the draft on the radio, and I said, please let Pittsburgh's Aaron Donald fall to us. I literally remember that. I don't know why that was so vivid to me.
You listening to the draft on the radio? How old are you?
I was listening to ESPN 1000. I don't know. What is that, 2014? That's, what is that, 16? Yeah, I was 16 years old.
But there was TV.
I know. I was cleaning up at the time, so I had to put on the radio. Mom had me doing laundry. All right? I was in the basement. Whatever. My whole point is the freaking St. Louis Rams ruined my day because they already had two quality starters. It mentioned Michael Brockers and Kendall Langford, but they still added on Aaron Donald, who turned out to be one of the best defensive players ever to play the game. And so my point there is, like, you can still build on top of your success. Like, for instance, at that position, the defensive tackle position, we got Grady Jarrett, we got Javon Dexter, we got Big Man Billings, we got Dio Adangbo that can move into that interior as well. However, if you're telling me we're in a position to still get Mason Graham or, maybe Kenneth Grant later on, I'm fine with that. Just build on your strengths. And so I think Ryan Poles is going about this the right way.
And you know what? I will say this. I think that's a great conversation to have. And it really speaks to the conversation on, dude, just wait and a guy will be there, right? Kyle Fuller is a fine defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He's he was, is there an all-pro or just a Pro Bowl in Kyle Fuller's? I don't think there's an all-pro in there, but he's an all-pro. Yeah. He's a very good defensive player. He was a really good DB for the Chicago Bears. End up making a Pro Bowl. I'll give him credit for his Pro Bowl. Yeah. End up making a Pro Bowl in his time here in Chicago, back when the Pro Bowl actually was still football. Even though they didn't hit each other and things like that. But
oh boy, flag.
Ended up making a Pro Bowl in his time here in Chicago and end up, getting a ton of interceptions. He was a fine defensive player. Aaron Donald's one of the greatest defensive players, if not the greatest defensive player from the interior ever.
Ever. Jesus.
Like legitimately ever. And so like when I hear things like that, when I see like, well, he's good enough, he's going to be okay, he'll be just fine. Now, I'm not saying you're going to still go, you're just going to go fine. One of the greatest defensive players ever. But it pretty much felt like coming out of college, Aaron Donald's going to be a ridiculously good monster that has Hall of Fame potential. Yep. And Kyle Fuller felt like he's going to be a fine DB. Whether it works out to the point where he's the greatest interior player or greatest exterior player of all time, I think that's kind of the point that Ryan Poles is making there, right? Like, to me, you're in a position where you don't want to be here again. You don't want to be picking up here again. Is there a player in this draft that epitomizes that? Is that Mason Graham? Probably not Mason Graham, but Mason Graham is a ridiculously, he's one of the best defensive players on the board, probably second best defensive player on the board in this draft. Is that Abdul Carter, who is being talked about in those great circles, in those dominant circles, in being a phenomenal player? Like, I think that's kind of where this conversation makes the most sense for the trade up, is if you feel like Abdul Carter is that guy, guess what you're not worried about? the draft capital it costs to get Abdul Carter.
Yep.
Even if it is the quarterback draft capital. Now, I said yesterday, and I still stand by this, I don't know if I would move up and give up all the future compensation if there's something I can give up in this year's draft and still hold on to the future. That, I think, is the better situation for the Bears to be in. But, like, the Aaron Donald situation is the perfect reason for you to go, well, listen, you had a fine player. You had a good player in Kyle Fuller. He was good.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald's one of the greatest defensive players to ever touch a football, and he's probably the greatest interior defensive pass rusher of all time.
Yeah. Now, the other example we know very well here in Chicago that the article brings out is in 2017 when the Kansas City Chiefs were, getting ready to evaluate certain prospects. They already had a quarterback in Alex Smith who pretty much had them going to the playoffs, a few years before that, in 13 and 15 and 2016. And so there was really no need for them to go quarterback at that time. However, they did their due diligence. They did their homework on one Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Apparently what Ryan Pace didn't do. But that is the draft that got them Patrick Mahomes, and obviously we know the rest is history with that. And so they moved up to get him. They knew that somehow, some way, he was going to be special, and so those are the things that I'm talking about. Is like when you see a prospect that could be that much of an impact, even over good players, like you just mentioned with the Kyle Fuller versus Aaron Donald comparison, one pick apart. That could be the difference between having a Hall of Famer versus like you said, maybe a couple of Pro Bowls. And Kyle Fuller was really good. I did love Kyle Fuller, hard-hitting cornerback during his time. He did his thing here. But, I mean, we're talking about Aaron Donald. Yeah. We're talking about maybe missing out on something that could be very, very special when you pair it up with the other pieces you already have on this team to maximize. And then also pairing it up with some of the better defensive minds in the game, with the Dennis Allen, with the all these other coaching, the staff that we've built here. That's what gets me more giddy, is because you have all of these really good pieces in place, not just on the field, but in the organization that can maximize, and develop the people that you're trying to bring in. So you bring an Abdul Carter in here on this defense with the Dennis Allen. Oh man, this guy's the limit. You never know what he can turn into.
And listen, I think it applies to a lot of different things. Oh, I forgot we were doing that there. No. That's not the right one. There it is. There we go. I think it applies to a lot of different things for the Chicago Bears, honestly, right? Like, if you're the Bears and you feel that Ashton Jeanty is that guy. Now, do I feel Ashton Jeanty is that guy? Do I think you're going to have a 10-year running back in the modern NFL?
Of course you don't.
I don't. Who has one? Is there a 10-year back?
Is Saquon getting there?
I don't even think there's a 3-year back in the NFL right now.
What are you talking about? Saquon's getting there, right? What you mean as far as like length of
10-year, one team?
Oh, one team. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't even think there's a 3-year back on one team.
Well, Derrick Henry, wasn't he when he was with Tennessee for a while?
He was the last one. Now he's not there no more.
Saquon with the Giants, before they got hurt.
He's not there no more.
McCaffrey with the Panthers before he got traded.
I guess McCaffrey might be the one, but he's been dead the entire time.
Yeah, he has.
In San Francisco. I mean, he had one season. It was like, oh, give up the world. So, listen, but maybe you see something I don't. Maybe you see a guy who you are more willing to pay the big bucks to. Maybe you see a guy who you are more willing to re-sign to multiple contracts, and you're going to build around a lifelong running back like it's 1985 again. Maybe that does happen, right? And Ashton Jeanty is that guy. If that is the case, that speaks to the conversation of somebody else having that job already. You just paid DeAndre Swift $8 million. Guess what he's going to be next season? RB1. That's how politics work. That's how the NFL works.
I don't know if we do draft Ashton Jeanty, good and well that might be up for grabs. That makes absolutely no sense.
I think you'll see a lot of split time, just like they had in Detroit, where it
running back
was
in mini, huh? Okay.
where it was. I mean, David Montgomery and
Jahmyr Gibbs,
right? And David Montgomery gets just as many carries. Sometimes Jahmyr Gibbs. Sometimes Jahmyr Gibbs get more carries. Sometimes David Montgomery gets more carries. Just depends on who gets the lion's share that day, and if it speaks more to them. But there's already somebody who's making a heck of a lot of money in that position. He may have to wait to become the 3-down back, or maybe he never becomes the 3-down back, and he is kind of that. He's a part of that joint backfield that we know that Ben Johnson has had a ton of success in. My thing is, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we got these comments, it does feel like Ryan Poles is thinking very similar to the Aaron Donald situation of like, listen, there's a lot of good in this draft. There's not a lot of great. We heard that yesterday. There's a lot of good in this draft. There's not a lot of great. If there is great available, sometimes you got to take the big swing for great.
Got to do it.
And I do think there's great available in this draft. I just don't think there's very much of it. Let me know how you guys feel, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We're going to take a quick break here, listening to a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, The Athletic doing some phenomenal work here. The Hoge and Jahns podcast, of course, through The Athletic. And this article through The Athletic, where the Chicago Bears getting some love on both sides of the ball. On the offensive side, a lot of GMs liking what the Bears did. Don't know how that's going to translate to wins. On the defensive side, Dio Dangbo getting a little extra love in this mug. Hear what one exec had to say about his upside. Dio. Me said Dio. Daylight coming. I don't know. Daylight.
We just fit it in there.
Daylight coming. Me no wanna go.
Just make it work.
We always singing on this show.
Okay.
You know, somewhere Kanye's in a robe, just like never mind. I'm not gonna drop that one. We'll be back after this. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Welcome back.
Oh yeah,
your brothers are out of control.
The best show for Chicago sports.
Oh God, what a fall off. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to show love to another edition of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. We do have over 100 in the show. Over 200 in the show. 200. 193 on the
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
side, man. 55 likes on the video. Let's get it up over 100 likes on this month, man. Let's get it up over 193 likes on this month. Everybody collectively takes a second, hits the like button. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. We got 77 on that Twitter side, man. Hit that retweet button. Appreciate y'all for showing love over there as well. I love how we've Chicago'd X and basically just decided it's Twitter.
So we're calling it what we want.
Wait, I'm calling it what I want. Is it the Willis Tower? It's not.
No.
We were just talking about Ryan Pohl's comments on that could hint to a big draft day move. Let us know how you guys feel in the comments. Do you feel like a big draft day move is coming for the Chicago Bears? Now, I want to get into this article where it's talking about it encompasses all teams. Very good article done here by The Athletic, where it breaks down, average per year salary gained, average per year salary lost, which it's hilarious what the Bears have added versus what they lost, and they gave up so many players for what they lost, and they added 6 people for what they gained. So I'm a hit on that too. But and it also goes into what NFL execs are saying about the Chicago Bears. It goes into what NFL execs are really viewing the Bears as coming into this season. And the Bears got high marks. A lot of people are saying, and it feels like the consensus of yet another offseason is go ahead and crown them, Jordan JC. The Bears are offseason champions yet again. Hang the banner, baby. Right. 7 years straight. I don't know what.
Oh, baby. Championship.
Like 5 years strong on this, dog.
Honestly, yeah. Made some decent offseason moves, yeah.
Hopefully they will equate to wins, and that is one thing that stood out when NFL execs were talking about it. Bears got high marks. This is what it says: Bears got high marks after addressing their offensive line by acquiring guards Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson and adding center Drew Dahlman from Atlanta in free agency. I like what Chicago has done. One exec said they've gotten better. I do not know how much we will see it in their win record. If they win 8 games, is that progress? And that's where I want to start off on this. There's a lot of love for what the Bears have done, but that seems to be one of the main consensus. The Bears right now, Vegas win total stands at 8.5 after the team finished 5-12 last season. If this Bears team goes from a 5-win team to a 8 or 9 win team under year 1 of our Lord Ben Johnson, is that good enough?
Lord and Savior, huh?
Is that? I'm not gonna go Savior. Well, maybe we just need to go Savior Ben Johnson. Maybe take the Lord out. That's probably of our Savior Ben Johnson. We don't want to get blasphemous on this one.
Oh boy,
there's a phone call coming. Is that good enough for you in year 1 if Ben Johnson hits that 9-8 mark, that 8-9 mark? Because for as much change as there's been, for as much overturn as there's been, there has to be a lot of growth in this team.
Well, I put it like this, and according to the scrolls, yes, 8 is more than 5, but as according to the scrolls, your thoughts are not my thoughts. I'm going more than 8 wins, okay? I'm going more than 8 wins because of my expectation of where this team should have been last year and where I think they should be or could be this year. I'm not shortchanging my what I've said before and what I'll stick to, because I feel like I'd be going all over the place if I didn't stand by what I said. I see at least 9 wins, but realistically, I could see us getting into the double digits when it comes to the wins in this division, specifically this division. I feel like we've become way more talented than maybe 3 of the 4 teams, in my opinion, in this division. Are meaning Minnesota, Green Bay, and my goodness, what am I? Yeah, Minnesota and Green Bay. Not 3. I'm sorry, 2 of the 3 teams. 2 of the 3 teams. I completely tweaked on that. Minnesota and Green Bay, and so I think we're right.
Jimmy
right. Right, he's about to start talking. There's be a million comments from Jimmy Hoffa just in a row, 1 word for each time. But my thing is, I think we've done enough, and we've gotten the protection, we've gotten the things that needed to be addressed last year addressed, and so I don't. Obviously, it'll be an improvement to go from 5 to 8. That's clearly an improvement. You get 3 more wins, great. You get 4 more wins, great. And this rookie journey for Ben Johnson, fine. I'm expecting more. And I think he even expects more. I think the standard needs to be higher. And that's where I think all of the organization is looking, is for the standard to be even higher. I'm going to say double-digit wins.
Well, listen, I think Ben Johnson wants to win 15 games, right? You want to be where you were last season. I'm not sitting here telling you that Ben Johnson doesn't want the Bears to go out there and win every single game that they go into. What I think the conversation I'm having is more, is it realistic to believe that with all the overturn that you have, that everything's just going to hit the ground running? I think you can finish the season as one of the strongest teams in football. But I think early on, you have to be realistic in the fact that, listen, it's easy to say, right? Everybody wants the new job, right? Everybody got the job that they disliked in their life, and you wanted the new job. Was the new job amazing because everything about that job was going to be perfect? Or was the new job amazing because it wasn't the old job? Usually in the beginning, it's amazing because it wasn't the old job that was pissing you off, that you were sick of your boss, that you were sick of the coworker sitting there coming up to you and going to be, oh my goodness, hey, how you doing? I heard Tiffany's going to HR. Why we gossiping right now? It's 7:00 in the morning. Drink your coffee and shut up. Sorry. But
you had an experience there.
But I think that the new job is fun when it's the new job because it's not the old job. And then you got to actually start working.
Yeah.
Then you got to start actually doing the job. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute, this job actually expect me to do some stuff, right? You've been at the old job for a minute. They know how you work. They know how you move. They done picked up your slack where you done missed on some stuff. If you were an exceptional employee, they were relying on you for this. And now, you got you've got certain things that you can and can't get away with. New job don't know you. I think that's what that's going to be in the beginning of this season. It's going to be, we want accountability. We want great coaching. We want somebody who's going to come in here and get after us.
Yeah.
Until Eric Bieniemy's sitting in DeAndre Swift's face cussing him out.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm not singling him out, until Antoine Randall is looking at Tyreek Stevenson and saying, what happened there?
Oh, Al Harris is definitely going to slap
until Al Harris is looking at Tyreek Stevenson saying, until Antoine Randall is looking at Roma Dunze and saying, hey, son, you got to catch the ball to be a receiver.
Yep. Yeah.
Until he's looking at DJ Moore and saying, hey, you going to block around that edge? What's the game plan? Till Darren Richard is sitting there looking at Braxton Jones and saying, stop moving.
Stand still, son.
The ball has not been snapped. Stop moving.
It's skating backwards normally.
Everybody wants that accountability until that accountability actually walks in the room. Now, I'm not saying the Bears aren't going to be able to handle that, but I do think there's going to be some growing pains that come with that. Growing pains usually mean you're going to lose a couple of games you should have won. That's why, for me, if you're talking about the Bears being a 9-win team in the beginning of this season, I'm not upset. Or I'm sorry, in the beginning of this regime, I'm not upset. One, because going from 5 to 9 is a massive jump. Or 5 to 8. Sure. 5 to 8 is still a massive jump.
Yeah, 3-4 wins.
It takes you from being a terrible football team to like, hey, they figured out middle of the pack.
Here's my thing. I get that. I do understand there should be some hesitancy and say, okay, hold the brakes, meaty. Maybe we should just kind of calm down on the number of wins and the win-loss expectancy. I'm honestly tired of doing that. Here's the reason why. What did Ben Johnson say? Ben Johnson admitted, there's going to be some growing pains. He said, we're going to fail. My assumption is that he's talking about leading up to the season. Yeah. He's already got his mad scientist brain working where he looks like he hasn't had sleep in 30 years. My thing is, I trust this organization. I trust the head coaches. I trust the staff he's put together to make sure that this team is in a position to be as ready as possible We've seen this a million times. We saw this in the past regime when Justin Fields got DJ Moore, and everybody thought, even the pundits thought, oh man, they're ready to take off that year. I think it was a couple years back. They were ready to take off. Completely failed because the staff still sucked. The coaching still sucked. Next year, same thing with Caleb Williams in year one, Matt Eberflus, and oh god, Shane Waldron completely sucked. And so when
Luke Getsy was the next year.
Luke Getsy also. I'm sorry, Luke. Oh god, I
can't forget about him.
I want to, but my thing is like when you now have the real deal. Or
what happened? He's all right.
Think of both of those guys. But when you have the staff in place, when you have everything that you think that you need in place on and off the field, I feel like, again, I go back to the standard. Yes, there's going to be a few bumps along the road. However, when you have GMs outside of the organization saying, hey, this team might be onto something, that's a good start. When you have Ryan Poe saying in our last topic, we can move up and get a piece, does that signal to you that they're still worried about, rebuilding and maybe this is just a year of getting over the hump or developing, or is this a year where they're thinking, hey, we're about to be a really good team, we're about to be competing with some of the best teams in the world? That's why, match with that, I think that we need to think big, just like Ryan Poles is thinking, and look at, okay, maybe we can get to double-digit wins. Yes, it could start off, as growing pains, but as those growing pains go on, we'll be a dominant team by the middle of the season. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope so. I'm rooting for 17 wins.
I didn't say all
I'm
that.
expecting 9. I will stand in there and root
somewhere
for
in the
all
middle.
There's no scenario where I will walk into a Chicago Bears live call or watch party. Sorry, apologies. Chicago Bears watch party that we do every time there's a Bears game and be like, all right, I picked this one as a loss. Let's take this L. You know what I mean? Like, it's never gonna happen.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm rooting for 17 wins.
I want to win.
Is 8 or 9, that 8 to 9 range. I expect the Bears to be around that Vegas number of 8.5. I believe it was 8.5 last year. It might have been 7.5, and the Bears still weren't able to touch that. Let's get to the defensive side of this, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. A lot of good content coming you guys' way today. Of course, we got the Daily Show with the full crew in studio today, so we'll be in studio for that, so tap in with us on that. Gonna have, of course, keeping you guys up to date on any news that is dropping here with the Chicago Bears. But one thing that I thought was very interesting was what was said about Dayo Odeyingbo. Dayo. One exec said the guy that signed from Indy, Dayo Odeyingbo, has the upside to get 8 to 10 sacks as an interior rusher.
Mm-hmm.
He was hurt coming out of college and never fit in what the Indy was doing. The Indy was doing? Come on now.
What in the Indy?
He probably did say it that way too. What the Indy was doing. That's a good signing. Jared is just a run defender at this point. Two things that were real takeaways there, but starting off with the Dayo Odeyingbo part of this. Y'all know how many sacks 8 to 10 is from an interior pass rusher?
That is extremely good.
That is Grady Jarrett.
Yeah, that's Chris
Now,
Jones.
I'm very high on that is Chris Jones. Well, no, Chris Jones is different. Chris Jones like 16 sacks from an interior pass rusher. That's a nut. I don't even know what that is. But I'm very high on Dayo Odeyingbo. I haven't hidden that. I've said that I feel like he's got all of the intangibles to be one of those premier sack guys, one of those premier sack getters. I think that he's always around the football, and if there's just a couple of tweaks in his game and there's more of a focus on, hey, get home, if there's a Montez Sweat on the other side of this thing, right, that he can take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
But that was as an edge rush kind of guy that can play some interior. If you're telling me that there's at that point, you got to say a fear, right? But a belief that he can get 8 to 10 sacks from an interior pass rush position. Two things I would ask. One, how much is he playing the interior when Andrew Billings and Grady Jarrett are on this team? I do think that there's going to be a lot of just run stuff options for Jarrett, but we're not going to act like he's not going to be out there for pass rush at all. You've still got Javon Dexter. Two, I mean, if that is the case where there's a belief that he can get that kind of production, that's the end of Zach Pickens, essentially. Like, he's not getting any run on this team. Yeah. And you're probably addressing the edge in that situation in the draft where you're going out and getting somebody who can be that play in, play out edge rusher opposite Montez Sweat.
Yeah, we've talked about Dio's versatility being one of his superpowers, in the sense being able to, fit on the inside and being able to rush from the edge as well. When you look on the tape, you can tell that he has a lot of potential. And I mean a lot.
Had an 8-sack season.
The previous year. And so we actually could have gotten him for a steal when we were talking about the contract that he's gotten. And so when you're looking at somebody who's saying, yeah, he could get 8 to 10 on the inside, that's pretty meaty. Because I asked, well, is he playing, like you just said, is he playing every single snap inside, or what if he's still switching it up and getting on the outside and he got maybe two to four more sacks as an edge rusher?
I mean, I would assume, right, you're probably putting him out there in pass rush specific packages on the interior if there's an advantage that's happening on the interior. But 8 to 10 sacks, that's not from the interior position. That is not like Leonard Floyd getting 10 or 12 sacks on the outside, right? You can get 10 to 12 sacks and be the other guy and not be effective in run plays. You get 8 to 10 sacks from the interior, dog. You an all-pro.
Yeah.
Not a Pro Bowler.
Yes. Oh, Pro Bowler.
You get 8 to 10 sacks from the interior. You're probably both. You're an all-pro level player. Like, that would be the steal of the offseason.
Absolutely. Yeah. Say Shot City, I agree with you. It changes the entire defense. When you're dominating and applying pressure from the interior, well, what is Montez Sweat doing now? What does that do to free up other players? How are the other interior defenders looking? Is Javon Dexter tapping into some more potential? And he gets 6 to 7 sacks. Billings gets some. Obviously, Grady Jarrett says, "Oh, I got another level that I haven't tapped into." So he's bringing the juice.
I'll tell you this, and this is a tough conversation to have with the improvement we saw from Javon, and he's played phenomenally. Dio Dangle gets 8 to 10 sacks from the interior position. Javon Dexter is getting traded.
Uh-oh. You'd be willing to do that?
From the interior position, Javon Dexter is getting traded.
Business-wise, I could see why that would work, because you
got to pay Javon coming up. Like,
yeah. Business-wise, I could see that happening. But my goodness,
is crazy.
You literally just said Javon is that piece you're trying to develop. I would still want to keep him. I mean, that's an embarrassment of riches if you get two of those guys that are just killing and dominating from the interior. I would want that. I'd find a way to keep both of those guys. But no, that would be something if we found a gem like Dio to get to that point.
I wonder what's going to happen when somebody's favorite Bear starts getting cut from this defense and they have to admit that I'm right.
As long as it's not Jaquan.
It's going to be people. You can't pay everybody. You can't pay everybody. It's okay. I get it. We're going to be a little sad. We're going to be a little upset.
Gotta have Jaquan.
I'm a mourn there with you.
No, don't you do it.
I don't want to see Jaquan go. I hope Jaquan get paid. I would love to pay Jaquan and pay Kyler Gordon. Can't pay everybody. Just can't. It's not realistic.
Boy. I don't know. You should end this on a sad note. Jesus.
It's not a sad note.
Got me thinking about people leaving.
Here's why. And see, I think that's the thing. It's not a sad note. Come, yourself. And now take with me the memory.
Come on, man.
To be my sunshine after the rain. It's just meat juice coming down. It's not.
No.
Meat juice is crazy, Pat. Steak juice would have been such a better line. Jesus, Pat. We gotta get out of here. God dang it. Hey, yo.
Where else can y'all get this type of good content, man? Where else can y'all get this type
Oh
of good
my
content?
God.
That's all I gotta say.
Well, there it is. King Booker World. You're not lying. Dang it, Pat.
Dang it! Finally, it's not me. Finally, it's not Daniel Jason.
God, dog.
Oh
That was
my!
insane. Point I was making was, don't be sad because you're not getting rid of them because they suck.
Right,
You're
right.
getting rid of them because the team is so good and you've paid money for these pieces that you're looking to keep, because you can get out of all of the contracts just about without any issues.
I got you. All right.
Shut up, JC.
hey,
Finally, it's not me.
Finally, it's Jesus.
Oh my
no
God.
No more jiving JC. Now all the
attention's
on
heal
you.
the designer beef juice. Wow, brother. Was that an advertisement? Or am I doing an ad?
Heal the
Tapped
designer.
in with Pat the designer beef broth. Oh my God.
It said meat.
Appreciate
All
y'all
right.
for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe.
On this episode of Meat Juice.
Leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. What a wild way to end this show.
What better way?
For Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down. One love.
Oh,
Jesus.
boy. Hey, man. It's all good, brother.
Oh, my God.
It's all good, brother.
No, it's not. That was nuts.
That's your moment to bask in that. Just go ahead and bask in
it. Coming down your face. What?
Bask in that comment.
As it was coming out, I couldn't stop it. I wanted to stop it.